Hi, Nicole here. Just checking in to see how things are going with your nutrition practice. Wanted to take some time today to try to connect us to the roots of our nutrition practice. So always taking some time to review, what is the simplest way that you can approach your nutrition practice on a daily basis, and it goes back to really connecting to where our nutrients are coming from. So appreciating that all of the vitamins and minerals, or the majority of the vitamins and minerals, are found in our soil. They're then absorbed through the roots of our plants and traveling through the stem, which is the nutritional highway, then goes into the produce that we actually consume. And then as soon as that produce is harvested, the nutritional highway is closed. So that's why when we choose things that are in season, they're going to most likely have more vitamins and minerals in the produce themselves, and versus coming from long distances away, you're going to have the produce being harvested sooner rather than closer to the time of consumption, and then there's not going to be as many nutrients that have traveled from through the stem and into the produce that's harvested. A couple other things to keep in mind is that our farmers that we're able to talk to, we can inquire about, what different varieties of produce they choose to sell and choose to grow and harvest in our community. And that is a great piece of information because there's different varieties that have a different vitamin and mineral profile versus just the one variety or a couple varieties that we see in the grocery store. And oftentimes farmers, because they're in front of the consumer and have to sell us the produce, they want it to be flavorful. They want the nutrient content to be higher. So that's what oftentimes is going through the farmer's mind when they're deciding what varieties to grow, is the flavor and the nutrient profile, versus a conventional farm. They really want their produce to be very uniform, and they want it to be sturdy so that it's going to be shipped and going through multiple different processes before it actually arrives in the store, and then we purchase it and then we bring it home. So there's lots of different ways to purchase your nutrients, and I just want us to be connected to, the benefits of incorporating at least some local produce into your nutrition practices, and really be connected to the value, and give yourself credit for taking that couple extra steps forward that are going to help not only your internal health but also the whole experience as a whole in your community. The other part is, what is the purpose of putting your meals together? And that's really broken down into remembering that we are responsible for getting all of the vitamins and minerals and getting them delivered to your cells for nourishment. And there's a lot of benefits to stopping and really connecting to how you're eating throughout the day to help support that process. So we need to pay attention to balancing our blood sugars throughout the day. If we skip meals, we're not balancing our blood sugars. If we miss that partnership of protein and fiber, so we really want to try to have that protein plus fiber at all of our meals, because that's going to automatically slow the rate of the food turning into blood sugar. So the partnership with the protein and the fiber, slowing the rate of the food turning into blood sugar with all the vitamins and minerals, is also going to then offer your pancreas support for producing the right amount of insulin, and then becomes this vessel with all the vitamins and minerals that is now able to make the delivery through the intestinal wall into your cells, because it does have a key, opens up your cell wall, puts the nutrients in there. Things that are like really high in vitamin C and folate are really going to help your muscles, but also cell rejuvenation. So that's when I always try to encourage us to have a little bit of dark leafy greens at each of your meals. If you're just going to take even a handful of them and add them on top, or start at the base of your meal, that's going to help add secondary metabolites to that meal and help the enzymes break down the food and support that delivery process, but also packed with more antioxidants, which are really just bodyguards for our system, where we have free radicals flying around. Those antioxidants from all the fruits and the vegetables are going to help protect and kind of weed out those free radicals, so we don't have aren't susceptible to inflammation. So I wanted to check in on the practice of adding the protein and the fiber together to help balance your blood sugars. This is going to help your hormone balance as well. It's really the most crucial part of the base of your nutrition practice. And from there, we really build the skills on listening to what your body's wisdom is communicating throughout your nutrition practice to gather more information. And working together, we're going to explore that a lot more deeply. However, really getting this part of your nutrition practice established and practiced, so it does become more of part of your automatic thoughts, is going to be a huge help for us going forward as we explore all the different reactions that your body has to different foods, and making sure that there's not any foods that are really causing any unnecessary inflammation, which just stops us from feeling our best. So we want to keep all of that in mind. But going back to the protein and fiber partnership and relationship is where we want to be. So looking at breakfast specifically, practicing the formulas that are attached to each of your meals is going to be key as well. So for breakfast, we want to make sure we have a protein, a whole grain, or maybe a sweet potato, or even root vegetables can be in the place of a whole grain. It's going to add key components, the fiber content of it. And then we want to have at least fruit and or vegetables. So a couple examples of breakfast, hopefully you guys have been practicing them, would be you could have like an egg for your protein, you could have half a sweet potato for the grain column, and then you could add maybe some half a cup of leftover veggies, a handful of dark leafy greens, and maybe a little avocado on top. So that's an example of a very nutrient dense breakfast bowl. You could also go the oatmeal route, where you have like 2 tablespoons of nuts or seeds, maybe sunflower seeds, pumpkin seeds, almonds, walnuts. You could create like a little mixture for yourself to have on your countertop. That might be a fun thing that you could like just intuitively pick your favorite nuts or seeds. So 2 tablespoons, a really great extra sprinkle of protein-rich seed would be hemp seeds. So those are really good to have on hand as well. Then we would do a half a cup of either oats. If you aren't an oatmeal fan, you may want to try quinoa as a breakfast cereal as well. So it would be a half a cup to a cup of oats or quinoa, and then you would add your half a cup of berries or any other types of fruit. Great addition to porridge for breakfast would be to zest or shred some ginger root. Great for your immune system, great for your digestion. And again, we want to look for all of those little things that we can add to our meals that help support our digestion, because it is the hub of what everything needs to go through in order to get out to your cells and the rest of your body to decrease any inflammation. And inflammation could be anything that your body's communicating to you when we have a headache, when we have any type of like GI discomfort, we have abnormal lab values. those are all different forms of inflammation, and as inflammation goes on over time, it becomes chronic inflammation, and that's where chronic illnesses or diseases really stem from. So we want to do our part to support our body internally to sustain its own health, utilizing the power that all of the vitamins and minerals and nutrients have, but we need to ensure that they're actually getting delivered in order for them to do its job. So it becomes a little bit more complex in that side of things, but nothing we can't figure out together. It's going to take a little effort on your part, and I'm going to be here to guide you and coach you, and we will really start feeling a difference and really find your health that you deserve to feel your best in your life. So that is it for breakfast. If we move on to lunch, you're going to, sometimes people do like to have a snack between breakfast and lunch, and that's up to you. So you want to try to ask yourself that question, maybe stop, ask those questions of what do I need right now? What does my body need right now? And then for lunch, our formula for lunch would be a protein, a whole grain, or a potato with vegetables. So you really want to try to get a variety of different vegetables in at lunch. If you eat the same foods all the time, your digestive system is just not going to be as strong. So we don't want to set our bodies up for having a weak digestive system, because we're not going to be able to absorb all the vitamins and minerals as well in that case. So switching them up, looking at our chart that we have for what's in season is going to be a great resource for us. An example of a lunch with all three of those components would be if you are a chickpea fan, you could do a half a cup of chickpeas or any type of bean or a lentil. So a half a cup would be your protein. Then you're going to add a half a cup to a cup of a whole grain. So that could be quinoa, it could be brown rice or wild rice. Those are great options. And then we would take a cup of a sauteed vegetable or roasted vegetables and add that into our bowl. You could use mason jars. I love the ones with the wide lids because then you could actually use those to go in the freezer if you don't get to any meals. Freezer is a really great option for us to have a sustainable nutrition practice as we move forward and not let things go to waste. If you haven't used it by day 5, you can easily stick it in the freezer and then pull it out the next week when you're ready to have that particular meal. So that's one example of a lunch. In the afternoon snack, it's great to have a protein and fiber. So maybe a tablespoon of almond butter with an apple would be a great example of a protein and fiber. And then for dinner, definitely making sure that you have a protein and at least vegetables. So sometimes our body doesn't need as much energy at night. So if you're feeling like you're fine with just the protein, like a piece of fish with veggies, or you could do like a half a cup of tempeh if you're plant-based. The majority of the time, a half a cup of tempeh with a bunch of, stir-fried vegetables would be wonderful. But you can incorporate that whole grain if you feel like you need it. But again, those are questions to ask yourself after you've kind of maybe taken some deep breaths, tried to connect to yourself before a meal time. It only takes less than 1 minute. So just even one breath can really help ground you. Then you can ask yourself what you need, what is necessary for that meal, using the formulas to guide you, and then really be much more connected while you're trying to nourish ourselves, meaning getting the vitamins and minerals to our cells so your body can do the rest. So it was great to see you today. I hope this helps reconnect you with your nutrition practice, and I'm looking forward to having much more supportive videos for everyone to use as we go through this together. All right, have a great day.